Hi everyone, it's a pleasure to be at AI Expo Africa 2021. I'm Karim Beguir, I'm the co-founder and CEO of InstaDeep. I'm also a Google Machine Learning developer expert and a steering committee member at Deep Learning Indaba. And today we're going to be discussing a very interesting topic, which is powering drug discovery and protein research with AI. It's there is a lot going on, and I'll be very happy to tell you more about what is happening in this super exciting field. But before that, let's discuss a bit like what we will be covering. First, I'll mention a bit why I believe that deep tech innovation is a must. It's a must for the continent, for all our communities, and it's also a real possibility. And then we'll deep dive into what is happening in biotech in the age of AI, and how effectively disruptive AI is powering new tools, and these tools are democratizing protein design. And finally, we'll conclude on there after having shown you a few examples around protein design. So first, why is deep tech innovation a must today? Well, it's a very interesting world in which we live. Effectively, you could see AI as effectively the central disruptive technology of our time. It's sort of like if you think about the solar system, AI is the sun, and every sort of like technology field is revolving around it, meaning that AI radiates to it and helps this field to improve, a bit like electricity played the same role in the early 20th century. So, whether you're working on energy, on robotics, mobility, chemistry or hardware or biotech, which we will be covering today, AI is definitely disrupting your field and making many new things possible, which were literally science fiction in the past. So this is the world in which we live, and that means that deep tech startups such as InstaDeep have the chance to work on super exciting things, and also that AI tools can democratize those fields in a way which was not possible before. And maybe just a few words about my own motivation into co-founding InstaDeep. I started the project literally because I wanted to put Africa on the map when it comes to deep tech innovation, and contribute to, among the many others who are having the same dream of seeing the continent rise and take its legitimate place among the nations and the different regions. And if you look, for example, at this PricewaterhouseCoopers estimate, where it's effectively being said that by 2030, AI will have an impact which is absolutely insane. We're talking about like $15 trillion. That's the GDP of China and India combined. But when you see the map, Africa is not even there, like it's lumped with rest of the world. That was my original motivation to actually co-found InstaDeep and get started and prove that African talent can compete in AI with the world's best and deliver tremendous value to the continent and offer hopes of progress along the continent. But effectively, because AI is disrupting everything, it's an incredible opportunity for Africa. And if the world was static, it would be very hard to sort of change the order of things the way the world runs. But because we have disruptive technologies such as AI that are radiating to every field and technology, hope and potential and opportunity become possible. And the reason why this disruption is happening is effectively because you have a triple exponential when you look at AI. There is an exponential in the growth of data, which we all know, powered by cell phones, by IoT and other. Data is growing such an incredible pace. Same is the thing with hardware, the hardware of AI, the GPUs that power AI, and not only GPUs but also Google TPUs and many others. But there is also progress in the algorithms themselves. And AI is effectively this triple exponential, and it's actually becoming possible to have such a huge impact because it's effectively driven by three big waves at the same time. So what does this mean for biotech, for example? Let's try to deep dive a bit more in biotech. First, we have Moore's law. which most of you are familiar with, which is this notion that the price or the compute power capability of compute systems effectively doubles every 2 years or so, and this was true across many generations of the technology, starting with electromechanical, vacuum tubes, transistor, integrated circuits. Maybe in the future it will be quantum computing. But the fact is, doubling every 2 years or so is creating exponential progress, which is absolutely amazing. And importantly, it's not finished. We often talk about the fact that Moore's law could be ending soon. This was a theme which happened, been discussed many times over. I remember even like 15, 20 years when I was still at university, people were talking about Moore's law ending, and it never ended actually. And the reason is we are still very, very far from the fundamental limits that physics is telling us about the world. Effectively, we have something in the order of 200 more years of doubling every 2 years, which is absolutely incredible. So this is to tell you that the exponential driven by hardware progress is alive and well and will continue to create massive opportunities. But what about data, and what about machine learning? And in particular, when we're talking about biotech here, well, it's actually the same. In general, like in history, data is more important than algos for concrete breakthroughs, in the sense that it's not when an AI algorithmic breakthrough happens that we have a great sort of like disruptive impact on industries. It's when that breakthrough has happened, and that on top of it, we actually have massive data to sort of nurture that breakthrough and make it impactful in the real world. This is true, for example, for vision. Yann LeCun and others invented ConvNets in 1988. Well, the technology sort of like was not super impactful until the ImageNet competition happened with 1.5 million data points with 1,000 labels manually labeled in 2010. And since then we've had, basically like better than human vision, sort of routinely in AI systems. And so when you talk about biotechnology and biology, like the amazing thing is that there is a flood of data coming our way. If you look, for example, at the cost of sequencing a human genome, which was in the order of $100 million back when we were starting the adventure of trying to sequence the genome in the early year 2000s. But in 2021, it's actually only $600 to sequence a genome, and we are fast going towards $100, which is sort of like the magical number at which an insane amount of data is going to be coming into the world of biology. And when you think about this, and I put this graph here to show you that we actually, the decrease in price, or if you want the progress, is happening exponentially, even faster than Moore's law. Moore's law is pretty amazing, like doubling every 2 years. But the data is accumulating much faster than this. And that means that we're going to have in the future amazing opportunities to do personalized diagnostics, and importantly, personalized drugs and vaccines to save human lives from diseases that today are considered maybe incurable or don't have a good solution. So this is really profound. And it doesn't end there, because I mentioned, in the triple exponential image that I showed you before, that the algorithms themselves were improving. And this is also a very profound sort of trend which is happening here. Effectively, the efficiency of AI algorithms is doubling every 16 months. And that's also an insane number. That means that if you wanted, for example, a certain level of AI accuracy in computer vision tasks, well, you need in 2020 or 2021 something in the order of 45 or 50 times less compute power than what you would have required with the technology we had back then in terms of algorithms in 2012 when ImageNet was starting to get results with AI. So this is extraordinary, because on one hand we have exponentially growing compute power capabilities, but on the other hand the algorithms themselves are so much smarter that effectively every 16 months you need half the compute to get to the same performance. And this is something absolutely incredible, and that means that the AI revolution is having a huge impact. So let's deep dive a bit more into the world of biology, and particularly proteins. Proteins are the driving force of life. You find proteins in, you know, many sort of like cell functions, such as enzymes, carrying different, you know, like for example, transporters like oxygen transporters and others. In fact, you know, every important life, function in the body is performed by proteins that have been, coming from, that have been built from DNA and mRNA information. And the language of life, or the language of proteins, is basically 20 different amino acids. And this is what you see on the left figure here. And just from that sequence, you can actually look at, you know, very complex 3D shapes that are going to be driving the function of those proteins, as I mentioned, whether it's a signaling, in being involved in immune response, being involved in digesting food, and many other like regulation functions. But the question is, how can you go from amino acid sequences to the 3D shape? And that's not obvious, right? Let's give me an example. This is actually a protein. So you see it's basically a sequence, and there are 20 different amino acids which are expressed by letters here. Like one amino acid is one letter. So this is a virus. But if I tell you, like, look at this sequence and tell me what's the 3D shape of that virus, and from there infer what is its function, it's obviously a very, very hard problem that people are working on. And it's the same thing, like if you look at a sequence like this also means that, you know, we could maybe use the amazing sort of like developments with transformers, attention-based models, self-supervised learning, and see basically proteins as basically a language, and every amino acid is a word, and you're composing sentences if you want. And this is exactly what several researchers have done. I'm mentioning this paper from Facebook AI Research, where they have trained an unsupervised learning model, like a transformer model using unsupervised learning, in this particular case on 86 billion amino acids, which were forming 250 million protein sequences. And the amazing thing is that you can figure out and understand biology just by data alone and from sequence alone, which is kind of remarkable. And in the same vein, I also wanted to mention, obviously, the amazing breakthrough of Google DeepMind on AlphaFold, and particularly AlphaFold 2, which, as you see on the right graph here, is getting an incredible accuracy measured here versus actually real-life proteins that have been, which 3D shape has been captured at great cost. Think about it, from inference alone, from sequence alone, basically an AI system can understand the complex 3D shape, as you can see here, where the experimental result, which is the ground truth, versus the AlphaFold 2 model, is pretty close to perfect. In certain cases, like the distance is in the level of 1 atom. So this is pretty amazing result. To give you a sense, it took 50 years to crack that problem. You know, we thought for a very long time that this problem could not be solved anytime soon, and yet an AI company, maybe, you know, the best AI team on the planet, managed to achieve this. So, you know, talking about AI disrupting biotechnology, I could not see a better example of this. And this means that we have really new opportunities to do amazing things and design the drugs and therapeutics and vaccines of the future with AI and using like AI tools. So the question then becomes, well, who can use these tools? Because, like if I look at these examples, obviously Facebook AI, Google DeepMind, those are elite teams using a tremendous amount of computational power and incredible engineering expertise and excellence. So the question is, can AI also democratize protein design? And I want to walk you through, the work we've been doing here, and before that sort of formulate, the problem of protein design. It's an insanely hard problem, protein design, meaning that, building a new protein for a given task or a given set of criteria. To give you an example, if I only can change only 4 positions, which is really not a lot, like proteins in real life are like 300 to 400 amino acids long most of the time, could be more than 1,000 amino acids long sometimes. And if I tell you just, okay, I can change only like 4 positions, well, it's already 160,000 potential proteins. If you look at, a more realistic setting, let's say a very small protein, but like realistic, let's say 150 amino acids, I can mutate, let's say, 10 different positions on that sequence. Well, already this is a number of solution, which is in the order of the number of atoms in the human body, which is in the order of 10 to the power 27, which is gigantic. Again, this is just 10 mutations on a protein which is 150 amino acids long. So I hope I give you a sense of the incredible space on which proteins live, and the fact that all the knowledge that humanity has built so far is still very small compared to all the different proteins that you can build, all the drugs that you could design, and so on and so forth. So it's an extremely hard problem, but and in many ways, like, protein design is kind of finding like the golden sequence on top of the mountain here, which is gonna effectively be exactly fitting the profile that you're looking for and delivering the results that you're looking for in real life, in vitro, and then in patients. So when you think about it, this is a problem which is very hard. First, because of the space, which is absolutely gigantic, but also because protein design is not just like, okay, I have one function and I'm going to optimize it. It's actually many objectives that you have to design at the same time. Think about binding energy, expression, toxicity, immunogenicity, or any custom score. And this is actually why at InstaDeep we created DeepChain. So DeepChain is a world first in AI design and AI protein design. And effectively, we're blending the best of AI innovation, including some things we've developed internally, biology expertise, but also high-performance computing. And that's where it gets really exciting. Because what this means is that you can mix insights from computational biology and simulation of macromolecules with AI insights that have used training like transformers at scale, like similar to, for example, the examples I showed you before from Facebook AI and Google DeepMind. And so DeepChain today is the only platform that seamlessly blends those different scores. Whether you have a machine learning based score or a bioinformatics based score, you can actually play in a very simple way with the platform and check results, and it's actually pretty cool. So actually I can show you what I mean by here. So here you have DeepChain, and on DeepChain you can load basically like proteins in interaction directly on the platform. But before I deep dive into this example of optimization, I want to show you like a very cool way to basically build proteins. So if I'm creating like a new amino acid sequence here, let's take a sequence like this, I can actually interrogate very powerful machine learning models that have been built on proteins. So I'm running this example live, and you see that very quickly I got back results where for every position, the transformer is going to tell me like what's the distribution that they see as most realistic. So think about it. This is an AI that has seen all proteins known to humanity and is coming back telling you, okay, these positions were actually pretty natural here. This sequence makes sense. And we can try actually to change a bit that sequence. So if I come here, I remove a few. But let's say that in the beginning, I'm going to change this M by an S and this N by an M, for example. Let's see what we get. I haven't tried this example before, so it'll be very interesting to see what we get. And indeed, because I sort of like artificially altered, this sequence, which is a natural sequence with, sort of like a random change, you can see that the system immediately flags those positions as not being as cool as before. And obviously it impacts the whole sequence, with this one now being less likely as well. So you see the power of machine learning in action on this particular example. And this is as free. You can directly go and use it on the DeepChain website. So that gives you a sense of the ability to very quickly interrogate powerful machine learning models is key here. And from there, once you build your own criteria or use the ones that are available, you can optimize, like for those particular scores, try to find proteins that actually score highly on those. And I want to deep dive a bit more on what we mean by scores, and for that matter, we also call these deep chain apps. Basically, an app is either a classifier, like you're trying to recognize, for example, a human versus pathogen, different protein families or the like, or a predictor, which is basically like a real number about protein variability, or scoring its immunogenicity or other. And what we've done in Deep Chain is that we've made it super simple to take like large trained models, for example here ESM1B from Facebook AI, which I was discussing earlier, and sort of like fine-tune them. Think about, pre-training in AI. You could actually take a pre-trained model and then fine-tune it with the data you have on the specific problem that you're looking for. So the transformer model here, which is made available in Deep Chain, is a super big model, took a lot of time and compute to train. Usually these models are free. But then we also make the embeddings available, if you can start directly from embeddings. And you can build your own custom model, sort of like multi-layer perceptron, and fit and train on labeled data, for example, trying to recognize human proteins from pathogen proteins that are harmful to people. And with Deep Chain, you can actually build on the fly those models. And when you think about it, this is something very powerful that you've built. You built an AI system that can recognize actually with a very high degree of accuracy between human and pathogens, and it's just one example, but you could train those super, super quickly. And we've made those available on the platform for free. So you have all pre-computed embeddings available here. So I come back on this graph. This means that you don't have to run compute on this transformer model. You don't have to train it. It's already trained. You don't have to actually run it in inference mode. You could literally take the embeddings and train your custom model directly from those embeddings. Just to show you what we mean by here, this is actually the Deep Chain Hub, which I just mentioned. You have multiple apps which are scorers that are available for free, such as the CDR influenza binding, for example, which was developed during a hackathon on Zindi, which it took place between 100 plus universities in Africa. But we also make available, for example, the human versus pathogen example here in terms of like embeddings, high quality, also SwissProt data with multiple embeddings on different models. So the game changer here is to make those powerful tools available to anyone literally who's interested in this. What does it mean really? It means that someone in Africa, for example, with just one laptop and an internet connection could actually build a very powerful AI model to predict advanced properties of proteins in a few minutes, while it would have normally taken a whole team, a GPU cluster, and probably months of work to achieve the same result if you were starting from nothing. So this is really, to my sense, disruptive AI at its best. And on top of this, in Deep Chain, we also added this notion that once you have built those powerful criteria, you can use them to look for exactly the sequence you want. So if I come back to the example here, and I'm going to take as an example, for example, the spike protein of coronavirus, which is binding to human ACE2 receptor. So the S protein of the coronavirus is here, SARS-CoV-2, and on the other side is the human receptor. And if you want, for example, to design a therapeutic, you could literally take the natural human ACE2 sequence and try to optimize binding by, for example, selecting these positions, which are at the interface here. And the goal would be to create a decoy which is going to bind to SARS-CoV-2 better than ACE2 itself, and hence it would divert and neutralize the virus and reduce its propensity to attack human cells. So how do you do this in Deep Chain? Don't need a PhD in biology, you don't need a PhD in AI, you literally come and on our visual and graphical interface, select those positions, and then you go to AI directed mutagenesis here, decide to run experiment, and you say, yes, I want to improve binding, or I could abrogate it, but here I want to improve binding, and I can choose exactly which score I want to use for this task on top of binding. So think about it. I'm going to improve basically sort of like the computational, like the binding energy, which is a biochemical sort of estimate. But on top of it, I will say I also want a sequence that are going to fit, for example, log likelihood, which means that the model should look like something that's been seen in nature before, and other scorers, for example, that you can choose as you want. So you just click run, and that's it. Basically, you have the system running, and you get results after some time. But this is totally disruptive, like totally like a front end. You play with it graphically, and you get results after some time. So this is to show you the power of modern technology and what it can do. Obviously, there is a lot of infrastructure behind it, coming from also our expertise working on compute at scale with NVIDIA. We are elite partner to NVIDIA out of only 6 companies in the world, and we use this for optimization. But at least when it comes to building scores, anybody could do it very quickly, and this could be like extraordinary to drive innovation. So if I were to sort of summarize DeepChain, it's a world first in AI protein design. It's you reduce a time-consuming problem into something where you can get results in days. Rather than relying on human experts, you have a fully automated scoring and evaluation and optimization pipeline. And you learn biology, and you use AI models that have been trained from first principles, which is super important here, rather than going with sort of like limited human intuition. So I will stop here soon, but I just wanted to say that at InstaDeep, we are at the forefront of AI innovation in multiple fields. We signed a strategic collaboration agreement with BioNTech. We work with Google. We conduct research with DeepMind, and effectively, if you are interested in making an impact in this extraordinary time where AI is disrupting industries and bringing literally a value to humanity, and sometimes saving lives through the design of better drugs and therapeutics, well, feel free to contact us. We've been twice nominated in top 100 most promising AI companies in the world, and we believe that the future is still to be built, and to show the talent we have in Africa. To conclude on today's session, again, let's quickly review what we discussed. AI is impacting the global economy. We know it, and it's only gonna get bigger and bigger. Ultimately, it will be bigger than the internet itself, and the internet was pretty big. When it comes to biotechnology, we really live in the disruption age, where biotech is disrupted by AI. You have incredible breakthroughs such as protein folding, which was 50 years in the making, now became reality. Incredible breakthroughs where you learn from data, raw data, literally sequences without any sort of labeling, through self-supervised learning and transformers. And at InstaDeep, we are part of this incredible, sort of disruptive age. We collaborate and work with the best in the world. And importantly, we build a product, deepchain.bio, which is a world first in terms of democratizing protein design. So if you are a biologist, or if you are a UI researcher or a software developer, and you're curious about how could you make an impact on problems that are actually quite important, well, this is amazing news, because with effectively just simply your laptop, you could be developing quality research and models that usually would take a whole team of elite engineers, a GPU cluster, and many months of work. So this is sort of like the message I wanted to conclude with today, is that we live in a world of extraordinary technology disruption. And in this changing world, actually, Africa has an amazing opportunity to innovate, compete, and win with the very best, working with the very best, and find its legitimate place in the world of tomorrow. So thanks a lot for listening. I'll be available at the speaker lounge, and you have my contacts here, my Twitter, and you can also contact us at hello@deepchain.bio. Thanks a lot for your attention today. I hope you continue to have great sessions at AI Expo Africa, and I look forward to speaking with you soon. Thank you.